When the Egots first encountered humanity, they laughed. Our weapons were outdated, crude, mere slingshots compared to their elegant energy-based weaponry. They believed war was an art, precise and refined. But war was never meant to be clean. War is chaos. War is fury. When the Egots landed on Earth, expecting a swift conquest, they had no idea what was waiting for them. They had never seen a species fight like we did, not with sophistication, but with sheer, relentless willpower. Bullets tore through their lines, artillery cracked their formations, and missiles turned their sky-darkening warships into burning wreckage. They thought we were primitive. They thought we would crumble. Instead, they witnessed something far worse, a force that never stops fighting. Because the true power of humanity is not in our weapons, but in our unyielding determination to survive. And for the first time in their history, the Egots knew fear. His spindly hands curled around the AK-47, this is one of theirs, the metal, was cold and stung his skin, biting at him even when lying dormant. That should have been his first warning towards the thing's true nature. The two smugglers were small, ordinary alien squat fuck. I see there has to be more. He was calm, always storing in himself an aura of authority, a backbone that kept him in charge, yet like a predator looking at sleeping prey, his instinct was starting to take hold. These humans, if they're making things like this, toys like this, they must be simple, small things. Tell me, are they simple creatures, these humans? The two looked at each other, shrugged, and replied in unison, don't know. Ekes was an agent for his race, sent on a mission to scout out the capabilities of humanity before starting an invasion. They have to be. He let a quick snicker slip loose, almost like his mind was starting to twitch with excitement. I mean, look at this thing. It's hilarious. He dangled the gun in front of his 7OT, sleek and torpedo-like body. It became small and strange when compared to him, like a child playfully holding a stick as a weapon. Is it even an energy gun? Again, the two looked at each other, obviously frustrated at how long the deal was taking. Their kind became nervous when in one place for more than a few moments. Scars their ancestors had passed down. No one answered. What, you're kidding? He shook his head and smiled, ignorant and uncaring at the restlessness of the two. How does it even kill metal? The other hewed. It throws metal. He enunciated every word, relishing in their meaning. It throws metal. It wasn't a question to the twins, just a rhetorical game, so he could enjoy the moment. He began walking around, lifting his chin with pompous theater, and speaking as if those listening should be honored to hear him. Humanity, the apes of Earth, fear to cross the stars for reasons that are beyond me. These things, these puny creatures, all this time they've been hiding behind glorified slingshots, advanced pebble throwers. Oh dear, that isn't right. We can't let them keep going on like that, can we? The two stared at him blankly. No, he didn't care for an answer. No, we can't. We must do something about this. It's our responsibility to relieve humanity of their own awful existence. In that moment, with the cold, dead AK-47 in his hand, Ekes decided the fate of his people. He wrote a tragic history without even knowing his mind. Let loose dogs of war to charge over a hill that he himself had not yet seen. Over, oh dear, what doomed creatures, what doomed awful creatures. HES blinked. You want? He shook his head. What, the creatures were quite upset now. Do you want yes or no? You touch, so you want you by now. Yes. Oh, every word was like a penny being tossed to the poor. He looked up and pretended to even consider their offer, as if he ever did in the first place. Then after enough play, he sneered and dropped the gun to the floor. It's cold bounce, announcing his true intention. Keep the trash. Why would I want this? What, the two burst up from their small seats, yet because of their stumpy legs and dense torsos, they became even smaller under ES. He could have easily missed the two if he were to only look straight forward. In a sense, they were quite literally beneath him. You touch, you be you, this rare thing, rare thing. H. He walked away, his needle legs extending before him, like flags sticking into fresh dirt, claiming land with every step, with every strike. You bastard. They shook and rattled their fists at him. You touch, and you know by you Egots all the same. That was the title of Ekes and his people, the title assigned to them by all those who had the displeasure of knowing them. The Egots, the creatures of infinite, violent egos. EES had already forgotten about the two creatures by the time he entered his ship. A lion cares not for the opinions of sheep, and an Egot cares not for anything beyond itself. Her crown was simple, small, and rounding across the top of her oval head, silver like the fading light of a star. And somehow, just as a inspiring speak simply, she stood tall on her podium, assuming the pride of her ambitious race, a pride that was wider than any galaxy. I want not for your theatrics, EAS, then simple I shall be, expansive. When he bowed, waving his large arm before himself, pray to be slaughtered as stain to rid the galaxy of. That is what news I bring of Humanity, a quiet audience was around, them a select few chosen to witness the expansive one-hold war council during such a holy ceremony. Only she was allowed to choose who spoke. What are the stories of humanity? What are their fabled wrath and violence? Oh, encompass her bridger of cosmic distance. The Ekes were nothing if not pompous, and their leader naturally needed to represent such ideals, and Ekes was proud to pour praise onto their royal one. You would not be afraid of a pebble cast from a bough of string. These humans, they merely have made the bough metal and cast a pebble of steel. These words, these stories you hear, they are shields of fairy tale falsehoods crafted with the intent to scare the council. Amphitheater was on a comet arcing above a grand and blue star. The celestial bodies roared in the silence of space, lightly distorted by the transparent shield that allowed the Ekes to enjoy their pump. How are you? Sure, in reality, Ekes had just heard the same stories that everyone else had. He'd only seen one weapon, a small piece of war, yet that's all he felt he needed. That's all the Ekes ever needed, an excuse to rally their pride even higher. My all-being great owner, it is a simple answer for such like as us four commanders, as we are the stench of prey, is unmistakable. I assure you, humans are creatures of dirt meant only to be stomped. No more words were said, no noise came about the crowd of tall, slender creatures, yet to the honed ear of an Ekes a standing ovation decorated the cosmos. For their leader had nodded. It was a simple, elegant nod, yet it held in its austerity a signal to let loose the metal ships of war, to unch the weapons of conquest. Ceremony, great religious splendor was about to be had. The Ekes were flying to war, flying to eat up more land. How splendid, what holy day it was above the pulsing star. What holy war was about to be had, for after all, the humans were apes. Yes, they were creatures of dirt. All of this was true, self-evident. Even what possible miscalculations could the instinct of the grand Ekes have made? The ships were massive, grand daggers of metal. They morphed all across Earth's sky, eating up light and sucking it into a silver, uncaring hull. They were knives descending from the holy heavens, delivering release from unworthy life and rupturing the stillness of those that dared to be unaware. Hold position. Es was honored with captaining the conquest. His voice had never been greater, never climbed higher in its pride. I wish to speak with them first. Let us see that which we shall soon destroy. A small transport platform spawned out of their flying monolith, kinning Ekes and 4 others onto the plat. Below, an envoy of humans waited, small and appearing disheveled. The ship touched down like a feather atop water, hardly rousing even a pebble. Finally, he lifted his chin high as he walked down a staircase that had slid out from the transport, hands tight behind his back, and hardly a glance to the 3 camo-wearing humans. I can finally see the apes. The men were middle-aged, scruffy, scarred, dressed head to toe in field military attire, and to Ekes' slight surprise matching his aura of uncaring. The middle one, a broad and dark fellow, raised his hand suddenly in a sign to stop. Ekes halted, his walk caught off guard by both the command and his own respect for it. He watched as the strange hum, careless and lazy with his movements, propped a leg up on a small crate, took out a long, tight-rolled cigar, and with intriguing precision struck a match to light it, guarding the vulnerable flame from the harsh, arid wind. Upon igniting the tobacco, he then looked up at Ekes, having to pull his gaze quite high to see his face, and idly puffed into his cigar. There was silence, and Ekes expected something more, yet the man just smoked, appearing as content as ever. His 2 comrades were not even looking his way. What is this? Ekes shook his head, not hiding his sneer. What is this? Show. The man took his time, never looking away from Ekes, and slowly nodding as he smoked puff after puff. Name's James, he finally said with a curt yet energetic voice. Ekes took a moment. All right, one of the men beside James spoke up. Now it's your turn, buddy. Ekes snapped at the assumption of ignorance. I know what an introduction is. He shook his head and brushed off the dust that had already begun to cake his hands. Stars above, must we do such formalities? James shrugged. Suppose not. Ekes was becoming increasingly uneasy with their rampant casualness. Right, he nodded, trying to stay focused and keep his sense of regality. Right, well, you must understand your situation by now. We've watched your people and studied your weaponry. We are so hold that James was suddenly alive, with energy, eyes so bright and ready that it sent a shiver down Ekes' spine. You wouldn't happen upon a rifle of ours, would you? Here, look at this. Look. Here, it would look just like this. Fell. He reached behind him and held up an AK-47, smiling behind it. You seen something like this before? Yes, Ekes was horribly confused, and it was 2 small fellas, too sure. Little shits, she showed it to you, yes. Son of A ___. He slapped his knee with great joy and turned to the man on his Left Jenkins, I told you those bastards. We're trying to sell that, that's $20. Ekes shook his head. What? Oh, sorry. Buddy James smiled and puffed his cigar, resting one elbow on his knee. Old Jenkins here thought that the two fellas was going to eat it. We caught video of those two stealing the stuff, and it made the rounds of the old penny on the man behind him shrugged. What was I supposed to think? Not some dumb anyways. James rolled his hands. Sorry, buddy, you was just getting on about how you were about to try and conquer us and all. Why, yes, I was. He stepped back. Try it was a jab. The first flying strike of a fight. Ekes blinked as his chest erupted with the challenge of pride. He couldn't contain the anger swelling in him, and he spat out his next sentences. Educating unruly children, our peoples, the great claimers of the galaxy. We do not try. There is never a try with us. We always do. That's us. We never fail. We are not the triers. We are the claimers, the conquerors. James pursed his lips. Yeah, you should be bowing at my feet right now, and it's not really how we do things around here, buddy. He straightened up, stretching out his shoulders and neck. Not big into the whole bowing thing here. Got a bad history with it. We're simple folk here. None of that praising jazz. You don't bow. You don't worship something grand. Oh, no, buddy. We worship something quite grand here. We take a good bit of pride in it, too. He tilted his head in curiosity. Yes, James's gaze was suddenly serious, his whole body locked into something scary, something beyond his simple self. He spoke but with immense weight. Passion. The word struck Ekes. It sent a chill down his spine and rocked him. There was a coldness about the way he said it, so elegant, so quick, so simple that should have been his warning to leave. Ekes blinked and shook his head, re-entering and impatient. You realize we are here to eliminate you all? Yes, yep. There was our guess. Even Jenkins got that one. Ain't that right, Jenkins? Damn right, sir. See, even Jenkins picked up on that one. Ekes sneered. I am only speaking to you so that I can see the realization in your eyes. Right. Well, James shot up to his feet, the sudden speed and energy surprising Ekes. Tell you the truth, buddy, we're all quite excited for this. We haven't had a real rumble and tumble for some time now, and you really got everybody excited about it. What? Why all shake hands before you guys do that? Wait, I don't understand. Suppose it doesn't matter. Him and his crew currently turned around and started walking off into the desert, each step playful and lazy. James raised a departing hand with his back turned. You all just let us know when this here shindig begins. How does it matter? Shindig let you know. Ekes was thunder struck by the whole encounter. He almost missed how feeble he looked. Quickly and with obvious embarrassment, he straightened up and screamed out to the humans, this is your people's last moments. Let it be known that what is about to happen will be tragic, horrible, and it will be us, the conquerors, the claimers, that did it. James's voice was distant now, disappearing behind the wind just like his body. All right, buddy, all right. Ekes charged back into his transport, hot and dazzled with fury. These ignorant beasts. His voice rang out into the empty air. The OTS with him, silent and concerned. These insolent, dirty things, they will pay. When he made it back into the ship, he burst into the command chamber and screamed out his orders, spewing them out so loudly and bitterly that no one had any room to hesitate. Send it all. Send the land cruisers. Send the soldiers. Send the ships. I want this place glassed. I want it leveled. Kill every living thing in sight. The war machine came alive. Thousands of transport ships carried millions of egots onto the strangely quiet Earth. Great drilling lasers exploded out from the large knives. Millions and millions of lasers burst forth from the barrels of calculated cold energy weapons. Ekes himself again left the innards of his ship and watched above from a floating protected platform. Yet as the egots raged and ravaged, they only seemed to be attacking shells, empty houses, barren towers. Not a single human was in sight. Ekes gripped his observer tight out as he watched the monitors, read the reports, and saw from his own eyes that nothing was around. Where are they? He screamed hotly. Where did the rats hide? Then right under his ship somewhere, about 200 yards ahead of an egot advancing line, tucked into a thick line of trees and shrubs, a little shimmer appeared, a reflection in the sun's light. Ekes screamed and pointed their look. There some men ran up to inspect, and Ekes himself zoomed in a camera to see the hiding human. He smiled, and his screen slowly pulled deeper and deeper until, is that one of those metal slingshots? What did they call it in AK? The muzzle became alight with fire, and not just it, but hundreds, thousands more burst from all across the tree line. It was instant and furious. OT weapons were energy gun. They were quiet, advanced, and when they made contact with something living, they simply sucked the life out of it. Nothing fancy, no scarring, just alive then dead. It was elegant, refined, and the only proper way to fight. Yet as the horizon began to thunder alive with fire, as the Sky became alight and red with missiles, grenades, artillery, and leads so much. Lead the Egots saw the reality of man's silly weapons when the first Egot got hit by a bullet and didn't simply die as would have happened with an energy weapon but was shred apart, leg ripped from torso, flesh exploding upon comrade. An A__, screaming swipe, their eyes began to sink into a reality they weren't ready for. Ekes from the vantage of his observer ship saw suddenly before him a battlefield of not organized, proud, and marching Egots, but a terrifying bloodbath, a horror show of war and death. Perhaps the worst part was that it wasn't even one-sided, and the humans too were dying in droves, yet they weren't terrified. In the heat of awful, horrible war, they became even angrier, even more ferocious. It made them stronger. The Egots had never seen this before. They'd never fought a battle so animalistic, so primal and vicious. This wasn't their grand plan. It wasn't their holy way. It was carnal. Only animals could create such insanity. An explosion struck Ekes' ship, and he tumbled down in a twisting, dizzying crash, slamming to earth. He became caked in dirt, covered head to toe in brown, sticky earth that mixed in with his own purple blood. His ears rang, and he swayed as he tried to stand, and when he finally leveled his gaze to the horizon of earth, he saw it. He saw the real perspective. He was in it, in the flying lead, the screaming men, the popping, bursting explosions that appeared from every which way, the whizzing and screeching planes, jets, and missiles. He was amongst the horror show, the terror of man and their simple weapons. He couldn't comprehend it. He couldn't grasp what had happened. They were all so unevolved, their bodies, their guns, their planet. How could this be happening? His communicator buzzed, and in his ear he heard the concerned voice of the expanse of one EAS. She was quite angry. What is happening there? We are getting report after report of disaster. He began walking amongst the dirt, amongst the corpses and chaos, and between the flying, ruthless death blistering by his ears. They weapons. His voice was exhausted, gone, and without ground to center on. Yes, you said they were simple. Yes, they are. He watched as one of their grand like ships miles across, and the pride of his people succumbed to a red fiery explosion and began crashing down. That's the problem, great one. What he flashed back to the thought of James and his two carefree, casual friends. He should have seen it in their eyes, in the way they walked and talked. It is not the simplicity that's the problem. It's all basic. All of it is trivial technology. A couple of dozen yards before him, he saw three humans, guns in hand, muzzles alight and furious, and their own eyes just as mad, just as intense and energetic. They screamed just as their guns did, and together in unison, machine and man, they made a powerful charge. They simple. He was speaking slowly, quietly, but that's not it. It's the passion, my queen. It's horrifying, stars. It's horrifying. An explosion took over the communication, and the last thing the expansive one heard was the fiery cackle of a failed war, of a depleted, destroyed invasion force. A failure no Egot ever dared get within light years of humans since then, and whenever anything spoke of humanity or of their weapons, the Egots made sure to let them know. They told them that the metal slingshots and bombs are not their true weapons. They're not what makes them capable. That's not their power. It is instead their mentality, their Allen no holds barred, do or die going until the bitter, broken, beaten in mindset, their dogged, fiery, and frenzied passion, and their ability to capture the sun behind their eyes, to possess a broken roar in their lungs, to see destruction and horror and find meaning, find purpose, to turn a death into a new life in their heart, to take a dead end and make it a final stand, to carry on and on. Humanity uses stupid weapons. That is true, but that is not their real power. Their real power is their humanity. It's itself. The Egots learned that the hard way.